Oh, I didn't know how I was going to hold this and hold these in the same way. So, how blessed are we? How blessed are we to be here today? I feel that my heart is full, and to be able to follow Kylie in that song was just a little bit of magic. And so, my offering today has a lot to do with magic, has a lot to do with what she was singing about coming home to that home frequency in our own heart. And as Sprite was saying, hashtag love more, leading with resonance for the good of the whole. So I'd like to start out right now with actually an invocation, and to invite you to join me and to really honor the ancestors and the power of place. Because without these ancestors, they could be your grandparents, but let's go back a little further. Let's follow that lineage back before Maori, before Kiwi, and to those ones that traveled the waters, to those ones that were the water carriers or the water bearers. And that's the lineage of who we are. Because many of us know by now that we're made up of 70-80% water. Some people even say 90%. But coming home to this oasis of love within ourselves, to fall in love with who we are, is really what we're speaking about today, all of us. So just to take a moment and really honor the ancestors. And just simply, I'll just say a line. We'll keep this really short. But if you take a breath and you feel your feet on the ground, you'll be able to taste that frequency of love that's always been guiding you. And those ancestors are here today. So to the ancestors of this land, we greet and bless you. Okay, I guess I'm doing it by myself. Take a breath. We are of the same mother and the same father. To the nature spirits, earth divas, animal totems, we are one. To the beings of light, masters and teachers, angels and archangels, we are of the same light. And we ask today that may we be protected, guarded, and guided as we tread gently upon this land. And so the invitation is just to breathe for a moment and bring your attention back into your heart. Because if you leave with anything from this particular talk, it's just simply hashtag love more. Because in my life and everything that I've been through, it's the one thing that remains. And it's the one thing I can give myself and I can give to you. And so just taking a moment, and as many have said here today, to put your hand on your heart and take a moment with gratitude for yourself, for how you're showing up. Because in terms of leadership, you might be looking at each one of these gorgeous beings that have gotten up here today and more to come, that, oh, they've done all the work and we're the leaders. But actually, it's not true. It actually has to do with that aspect of yourself that you acknowledge. And so to take gratitude, it's easy to have gratitude for everybody else, but to have gratitude for ourselves is where it really makes a difference for how you've shown up. And today, what does resonance have to do with our lives? What is resonance? And I think it's so perfect that I had the opportunity to come up here after Kylie, because I would imagine that each one of you were touched by the vibrational frequency, the harmonics of her voice and her guitar. And that's resonance. When those strings are plucked in a particular way, they create a continuity, a coherence, and it touches our being. And so we know a lot of leaders out there in some ways, are pretty scary right now. They're out there, they're leading, and they're saying that they're here for the good of the whole. But what we're doing here is to raise our own resonance, understand ourselves as a multi-dimensional being. It's perfect we're in this stadium, this field where champions are born, right? And beyond that, there's a field. And this field of intelligence, some of us might already understand it, this unified field is really who we are. We're beyond our mind, we're beyond our imagination. We actually coexist. We are one with this vibration of love. And so the invitation here, just for the next few minutes, and I'm sure there's a clock and I have a couple minutes remaining, is just to be aware of that. And so I'm going to just tell a little story of resonance. And we started out the day today with hearing a lot about mothers and children and suicide. And my very first client was a teenager. Well, it was my very first teenage client. And he was a musician. He was doing a lot of drugs. He was just hiding away in his room. And when his mother found out about the work that I was doing, she came and sought me out. And she was so concerned. Everyone thought he was thinking about suicide. He was just totally lost. And the beauty of what he taught me the day that he came was that all it took was for him to be given the space to express his dream, to breathe into that field of intelligence that was moving him. And what was so amazing to me, he described this land that he knew he was connected to. It was Israel at the time. And when he left there and he was supported in his own dream, to make a long story short, 7 years later I was on Facebook, and guess where he was living? In Israel, on a kibbutz, serving others. So I feel like this experience of resonance, leading from that place, is who we all are. And we're learning to stand on the stage of our own life. We're learning to stand and sing the song of our own heart. And so today, just being aware of these turning points, these moments where you get a sense of that remembering. And the reason I'm holding these dowsing rods is because it was a turning point in my life when dowsing came in. And in a million years, you could have never told me that I would have done this shift to include dowsing in my life, a way to tap into that higher consciousness, understand positive vortexes, and why we love to be by waterfalls, water, cathedrals, because it creates an upliftment and it takes us back to our home, to that heart resonance. So, just taking a breath, feeling that love for each other, for the collective consciousness, and to remember that there is no circumstance in which loving more is not the answer. So thank you.